I don't think he's entirely surprised that I have those views. I've been pretty consistent in arguing for many, many years that one of the fundamental problems facing the modern world, and that gets in the way of solving all the problems that we look at on a daily basis, is this incredible centralization that's happened in the economy, where you have a tiny number of big firms that control so much of the marketplace. And you see it in government too, where you've got this centralization going on here in the UK. But the EU is probably the best example of it anywhere.
But it's a bit like the small is beautiful argument, that we may be purer in our souls and feel more free, but we could also be poorer.
I don't actually think that economic argument has been established on either side, to be completely honest with you. I think one of the things that's really depressing...
We don't think the Bank of England and the IMF and the OECD and the Office of Budget Responsibility and the Treasury
well,
all
to be honest, Adam,
off.
the more that the Remain campaign wheels out those establishment figures, the more I think it makes the argument that this really is about the elite, the insiders, the people who've been running the show for many, many decades now, pursuing a particular agenda, regardless of who gets elected, an agenda that's basically driven by bankers and bureaucrats and accountants, irrespective of what the impact is on real people's lives.
It's easy to say these people are the elite, the insiders and all the rest of it, but to a certain extent they're the people that voters and others choose to trust to run these things like financial systems and all that. They're not necessarily wrongly motivated or selfishly motivated. They're trying to do their best, and that seems to me that people in the Leave campaign are reduced to saying, well, you know, they would say that, wouldn't they? They're all in it together.
I totally agree with that, by the way. First of all, though, they don't trust them, and that's the problem. The loss of faith in these institutions has been going on for a long time now. But the real point is that, exactly as you say, it is not personal. That is the argument that I make in this book. That's why we need a wholesale change, because it's not the individuals, it's not even the policies that they pursue. It's the structures and the systems that we've built over many decades in the economy and in government that need to really change to take power out of the hands of the insiders and give it back to people.
But it's interesting, because in your book, a lot of it is about cooperation, people working together. And I suppose Jean Monnet, the founders of the European Union, would say that's exactly what it's all about us cooperating rather than fighting or trying to score off each other.
I think, as I say also in the book, you know, the original intent was a positive one, and we can all applaud that. But what it's turned into, the direction that the EU has taken, remorselessly, relentlessly, in the direction of centralisation, more and more control at the centre, and arrogantly thinking that they can create these utopian schemes to solve every problem. That is fundamentally different to the kind of conservatism that I believe in, which is all about putting power in people's hands.
As you say, I've known you a fair number of years, and this is consistent with the Steve Hilton that I know. Where do you think you parted company with David Cameron on this? Is he not being true to his ideals, do you think, in standing for this?
I think the honest answer to that question is that he sees it from a different perspective. He is the Prime Minister, and he sees things that I don't. Even when I was working there in Downing Street, he had a perspective on it that I, as an advisor, didn't have. And I think that what's happened in this campaign is that has actually it's been highlighted in relation to this question, but I think generally speaking, he remains someone who is very committed to those principles of devolving power. You see it happening here in the UK with what George Osborne's doing with cities and mayors and so on. So I think that it's just
that from the top.
Well, I know, but that's the only way often you can do it. In order to break up and shake up a system, sometimes you need to get in there and impose.
But I mean,
that.
As far as Europe is concerned, I mean, you're frustrated by your dealings with Brussels. But are you not also frustrated by your dealings with Whitehall and Westminster Council or whoever else it may be?
That's exactly right, and absolutely, and that's why I think actually this referendum is a really, really big opportunity, not just to do something that would help the UK, because I think that we would be better off outside the EU, but something that would be a really important blow against this creeping technocratic centralisation that is affecting the whole world, because people would see that actually it doesn't always have to be in that direction. We can take power away from the unaccountable elites at the centre and put it more closely to where people live and work.
You yourself are a son of Hungarian immigrants. You've written about that, and isn't there an element of saying, well, OK, if we're going to put up our borders now, that you're pulling up the ladder, if you like, that the Steve Hiltons of this generation might have wanted to enjoy by coming to Britain?
Well, I completely believe, probably as a result of my background, in openness, in being an open country that welcomes people from all over the world.
So we still have immigration?
Yes, but the important point is that I think that what the EU does is actually make us closed off to the rest of the world outside Europe. And what we should be looking for is an immigration policy that welcomes here the best and the brightest, people who can make a contribution. That's not just people from Europe. That's brilliant Chinese students and Indian mathematicians and Russian scientists. We should be open to all of those people. And actually the result of being in the EU is that all the available space, not all, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of the available space, if you like, is taken up by the fact that anyone from Europe can come in here, whether actually they're going to make a really useful contribution or not.
I think, of course, as you and your family now live in California, is it okay, I mean, you're an influential figure here, you've worked, is it okay to sort of intervene in this high-profile way, do you think, if you're not living here?
Well, I mean, I do have a vote, so I think it's okay that I should have a say. And, you know, they've been wheeling in the foreign dignitaries as well, so at least I'm a British citizen, unlike some of the people on the other side of the argument that have been wheeled in to make the case. Oh. Well, if you look at, well, just to name a couple, you see Christine Lagarde and the American president. Now, of course, they have something to contribute to the debate, but they don't actually have a vote. I do.